this.
Well, thank you, Mr. Chairman. President Biden and Chinese President Xi Jinping are set to meet today during the APEC summit to discuss a number of issues, including the role of artificial intelligence in nuclear weapons. When I think about this topic, I worry that some country would give the decision as to whether or not to launch a nuclear weapon to artificial intelligence, thinking that it may be the most astute way to make a calculus. But for me, that would be alarming. There have been press reports that the United States and the PRC will pledge to limit the use of AI in nuclear weapons systems. Ambassador Fisk, can you share with us why an agreement on these issues with a country like China is significant? Is this a model that the administration plans to expand to other willing countries?
Thank you, Senator. I am serving at the State Department in part because of my formative experience in the Marines in my 20s, which left me with a conviction that diplomacy is and must always be the nation's tool of first resort. And so I welcome the conversation between Presidents Biden and Xi. I welcome communication between us and all countries at all times. That does not mean we agree. It does not equal collaboration, but the communication in and of itself is valuable and is better than the alternative. With respect to the military uses of AI, I would point to the political declaration for the responsible use of AI, a military-focused framework of principles that rights-respecting countries have subscribed to. It's a good example of the kinds of behaviors that we want to become the global norm. Again, we are under no illusion that our adversaries will abide by those norms in every case. But I think that the channel of communication in itself is valuable.
I have no doubt about the communications. I agree with you totally. I've been advocating for that so that we have lines of communication, particularly for non-conflict issues in China. But my question is really going to, do we want to extend an understanding, an agreement as to how or whether or not even AI should be used at all, particularly in terms of nuclear launches, as well as how do we ensure, because China's growing their nuclear capabilities dramatically, how do we ensure that even if a country signs on to that, have we thought about the enforcement mechanisms of that?
I think one of the foundational principles of the political declaration is a belief that when we're talking about lethal systems of any kind, there needs to be a human in the loop. We can't have fully machine-enabled or AI-enabled lethal systems. And your question about the inspection mechanism and the enforcement mechanism is, of course, exactly the right one. I would have to refer to colleagues elsewhere in the department who have that piece within their remit.
All right. China has introduced some of the earliest and most detailed regulations governing artificial intelligence over the last 2 years. Our own allies, including the European Union, have also begun cooperating on developing regimes to govern the proliferation of AI. And while I applaud these engagements on global AI governance, more must be done in this area of strategic competition if we are to keep up with China's efforts to regulate AI and provide an alternate vision for AI that embraces human rights, privacy, and other values we hold so dear. What are some of the troubling implications if America and our allies fail to develop a consensus around regulating AI and we allow China to pioneer the rules of AI globally?
I would make 2 points there in response to your question, Senator. First, our foreign policy in any area will rarely be any stronger than our domestic policy in that area. American foreign policy, I think the foreign policy in any transparent democratic society is a reflection of what we do at home. And so we do need to get our own house in order with respect to the regulation and governance of these emerging technologies so that we are presenting on the world stage a responsible framework for governance that has legitimacy and moral authority. Second, there's no room here for one of the concepts that even our closest European allies advocate, which is digital sovereignty. I would argue we need to think about digital solidarity. We have to think about close collaboration with our closest allies and partners to coordinate R&D investment, to coordinate regulatory interoperability. Companies want large harmonized markets. We need the combined integrated efforts of our best universities, of our students and workers. So it points to the importance of our domestic regulatory regime. It also points to the importance of our allies and partnerships in order to both shape the international normative environment and also present the strongest unified front against the PRC model.
Mr. Chairman, if I may, I'm going to just submit a question for the record since my time has expired, but I'd like really a responsive answer to it. This is the 10th anniversary of the Rana Plaza factory collapse in Bangladesh, took the lives of over 1,000 workers. In this AI industry, workers are being exploited, paid as little as $1 an hour, going through the repetitive process of trying to determine what's a smile, what's a frown, to inform the algorithms. I would like to see us lead in this regard to make sure that we don't have worker exploitation globally in the development of AI. I'd like to see what the department is doing in that. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.